temperature 93 degrees on this sunny day. Winds in from the west. We have a lot of news to cover. In the health news tonight, it's clear that more individuals are reporting to the hospital, reporting some sort of illness. The symptoms, as described, are flu-like in nature, but the reports that these individuals can feel like they have food poisoning. This can be accompanied with high fever, lethargy, and confusion, so it does get more serious as it advances. But health officials say these signs could point to a potential contaminated water supply. They're requesting right now that citizens boil their water prior to drinking it. The Board of Health was contacted, but they have not given us a response to our request at this time, so we're going to keep an eye on that story as it unfolds. In some positive news today, the St. Michael Clock Tower Rehabilitation Program has been underway. The structure has been standing since 1908, and the hope is that it's going to continue its vigil over the city. It was restored first in 1993 with the help of Mayor Michael Warren and Native Company Umbrella. Recently, local businesses have stepped in to add to the effort, and they're hoping to speed up the process of the restoration. It's become such an icon in our city that the hope is that this won't be any more delays in its repairs. And our big story tonight really has been a couple of months in the making. 4 months have passed since the community received reports of missing individuals in the Arklay Mountains, rumors of a possible serial killer or maybe rabid animals of some kind. The reports have not been very clear. Some even alluded to cannibals of some sort that could have been staying in the mountains. That this resulted in the closing of the mountain pass. So no one is allowed to go into the mountains at this time. But loved ones continue to contact police and other officials in hopes to receive more information. And now some have arrived to hold a vigil near the police station. They've bussed in families that have been affected, and they would like more information, which is happening right now. Still, there is no word on their families' whereabouts. Many family members are holding signs of those who've been, have images of those who've been missing, such as hikers, but there's no word from police, and I have to be honest, I'm afraid these families are really in this for the long haul. There's been very little communication to us, but we do know there must be some sort of investigation ongoing. And whether this ongoing investigation is a matter of unfortunate happenstance or an act of violence by man or beast is yet to be determined. We hope that will come forward. The only information that we were able to uncover was a rescue mission that had ended in disasters by the Special Force STARS team in the mountains, and the results came from a crashed helicopter. This resulted in multiple team member deaths and a forest fire that leveled half the mountain's fauna. And this resulted in Chief Iron suspending the entire team. And what is worrying is that some members of the STARS team simply left the city as the investigation unfolds into their negligence. And this in and of itself has left more questions than answers. What's going on? Why are we not receiving more information about why these things have happened? And we ourselves would like more, and we have began to try to find out and do some investigation. To further exacerbate the story, we received further information that is now reporting that many staff of Umbrella have also gone missing or unaccounted for. And this is exclusive information we've uncovered only in the last few hours. But these concerned families reached out to us asking if there was something we could do, so we've begun making calls. But we have received no conclusive information as yet. But those we have uncovered from names seem to be those that are working in the mountain area. So there's a possibility that these things could be linked in some way. This has followed also reports of what can only be described as Umbrella Company trucks that have also headed into the mountain in what almost looks like a military operation of some sort. Is Umbrella hiding something from its citizens? We don't know the information. We don't know at this time, but it appears that there is more to this than we're being told.
Rush to sue the other driver after a car accident. There may be a much smarter way to get paid a much...
We're recording live here. What's going on? Going down the fucking
We're receiving reports
Apocalypse is getting hard.
that police have
People out there getting killed.
uncovered acts of cannibalism within the city. Police are reportedly uncovered bodies that were, as I'm reading this here, partially devoured. The question is, are these missing persons related to these prior reports? Some areas of the city are being cordoned off as part of these investigations, while no one, especially in Umbrella or police, seem to be saying anything about this at this time. We are getting these reports secondarily, not from any official source. So this has also come across our desk in the last 4 hours, and I have to say it is rather concerning if true. This ongoing story is really something we're just going to have to keep an eye on. So, okay, let's give you guys a song, a commercial break, and we'll be right back with more information.
Got the radio on, huh?
In the news today, city residents are complaining that their sewage system is backing up. City water has received multiple calls and are concerned there may be more serious situations. It's true the city has a complex and advanced sewage system that is easily accessible by staff, unlike many other cities. So the idea that blockage could occur is unthinkable. We'll continue to follow the story as the night goes on. Stay with us for more news to come.
Welcome back. This is Raccoon News with your host, Charles Gaines. We're continuing the stories today. Also, it appears that there must be something in the water today. It's just in a disturbance at the gate today with the Raccoon Sharks, the Old Court Thunders. An unruly fan was walking through the stadium causing havoc. When someone tried to contain him, he attacked bystanders. A few of the attendees were injured by the assailant, while others suffered scrapes and bruises trying to flee the scene, but there are reports of more serious injuries coming in, with some sent to the General Hospital in critical condition. We have very little additional information on this at this time. Again, another story that we're trying to add to our list. No word on the fan or what caused the outburst. And, okay, wait 1 minute. Yes. Okay. This just in, something at the protest at City Hall. They're saying that members of the assembly became violent without reason, and members of the crowd have been seen becoming physical. There's a news chopper overhead, and they are covering the scene. And there's no word on what has happened, as there's been no report of police involvement or any sort of counter to the protest itself. I mean, for the most part, this protest was completely peaceful. The protesters, as we understand, were requesting the Chief Irons Warner address the missing persons reports, but there was no plans or acts that indicated that violence would ensue, and there's been no pushback on them, so there's no reason for them to do this. We're going to have to keep you updated on this matter as the news comes in. So hold on for a second here. This just in. Reports of violence are coming from across the city. We need to clarify that these are just reports at this time. We're getting this information brand new. They're not from official sources, but from what we're being told, there is something being described as multiple and vicious attacks. They're coming in from multiple locations. Is this part of some sort of protest? Some sort of advanced act of violence? An organized attack? We don't know. At first I wanted to confirm these attacks, but we don't have the time right now. Basically, our phone just started ringing off the hook, so it's pretty clear that something is happening. At first it was being described as a riot of some kind with no rhyme or reason, but there's no purpose or reason for this to happen at all of this. Right now there's no warning, no issuance of a possibility of anything. Is it an attack of some kind? And if so, to what end are these attackers trying to gain? And we just don't know. These calls start coming in during the break, and the phone has not stopped ringing with people sending in various reports, some asking questions because the phone lines are becoming jammed. Word is the police have reported to multiple locations and faced an unknown amount of assailants. Even the 911 lines are busy at this time, so it's impossible to contact emergency services. All the information we're receiving is from citizens who are relaying this information or reports from the field from news reporters who are out in it right now. So some of it needs to be taken credibly. But let me be clear, this has all happened in the last few minutes, so it's very difficult to determine what is happening, why it's happening, and what actions people need to take. One of the reporters in the field here, it says here, Alyssa Ashcroft reported that she was in the area of Jay's Bar. Is that Jack's Bar? Okay, yes, she was able to hear the police reporting that a riot was in progress, and they were requesting everyone to leave the area as police moved in. As she moved from the location, the police were beginning to construct barricades, and from what she heard on the radio, that her location was not the only barricade being built. And we do have members of our team trying to contact police or anyone to get an official report on what is going on, but the phone is just ringing. There is no message or any service at this time, nothing. We're not getting any sort of response. Although we don't have the full information, I can take it that we can assume that the streets are at this time considered dangerous. Okay, we were just told there was a report of a large fire and an explosion with large plumes of smoke rising over the city. The fire can be seen from some distance, but we have no word of its exact whereabouts. Was this intentional? Accidental? We don't know. At this time, we seem to have more questions than answers. We're just trying to keep up with the story for you guys. It seems to be unfolding very, very quickly here. And as a reminder, if you're just tuning in, there is a report of a riot in the city. We've received a great deal of different reports at this time, but it can be assumed that the city is under threat. The information is coming in very fast, so we're trying to scramble to verify stuff, moving around to get what's good information, what's bad, and then we're going to try to forward that information to you, and some of it is basically conflicting, so I'm just going to give it to you based on the calls we received. First, there was a report that police were responding to a riot in the city. They began to build barricades and were telling people to leave the area. This is an active situation. Then we heard reports of what is now being reported as multiple explosions and fires from within the city. We don't know how these fires were set. We don't know the situations with the explosions, if they were intentional or if this is something secondary from what's going on right now. We do know the smoke and fire can be seen from some distance. Yeah, okay. Am I reading this correctly? Yeah, this is just in. The attackers are being described as sickly in appearance. It seems multiple witnesses are describing him as injured as well, showing signs that they've been in some sort of skirmish, injuries, bloodied. And yeah, they are running, but they just slowly move towards the police barricades, and anyone that is unlucky enough to be caught in their way are attacked. At first, there were only a few people that met that description, but one phone eyewitness said that they saw groups that looked like in the hundreds.
Can our Nissan Pathfinder do this?
Ooh.
Is it possible that this is the protesters? Did something happen to them? The information that we have is impossible to link together information from other areas right now. We don't know where these people came from or what happened. It's all very confusing. There are multiple reports now that helicopters are filling the air of the city, and we're not really quite sure whose helicopters we are. Some have reported police. Some said that they looked military, and others looked like they had Umbrella logos on, which is the local company here. We don't know what this activity is, but we do see that things are being mobilized in a reaction to these attacks. So if you're in the city area, maybe moving to one of these barricades is a good idea. To add to this now, there are a great deal of reports of barricades and police intervention coming from all over as well. Police lines are still down, and again, no official report has been made. We simply have no idea what's going on. The news helicopters that are in the air is simply describing attacks everywhere in the city. This has become like a plague that has simply swept across the city, infecting anything that it can touch. And what's worse is what we're hearing is these police barricades are being described as ineffective. That these masses move towards them and simply move through unabated. Many have fallen to groups of, they're being described as violent individuals. Yeah. Yeah, police lines are just, we're hearing this from multiple areas right now, so we're trying to pull this information together, make sure you get the information that you need. So barricades do not look like they've been effective in any way. Okay, and I'm going to read this right now. I think it's important to share the information we're hearing, but I don't know what to make of this. One person said that at a police barricade that was hastily erected near the athletic court, that police were being attacked by what he described as a horde of injured and sick individuals. They did not look healthy.
Anybody out there on the radio?
Police opened fire on the group, but it didn't seem to faze them. They simply moved through the cordon line and attacked police who quickly scrambled back and moved the line back, leaving vehicles parked where they were, barricades still in place. These individuals quickly overran the barricade and were attacking police officers, and the description of the attacks was that they were biting them or possibly devouring them. The question that comes to mind right now, is this associated with any of what has been described as cannibalistic attacks? But I'm afraid to make any summation to connect any of this story right now, because again, we had no official information. No one is getting in touch with us, and from right now, from how their hands are full, it makes sense why we haven't been hearing anything back. So that's what we're hearing. I can't confirm it. We know nothing of what we're hearing. We've even heard reports of crows that are attacking people. birds, animals, other things. It's possible that whatever this is that are affecting people is now affecting crows. And I think that we need to be upfront with this and think that there may be some sort of sickness that's affecting people. Again, what we're hearing, have heard over and over again during this broadcast right now, has been that there are people who appear sickly, who have appeared ill, and we have had multiple reports from the city of illness that's going on. And the question is are they connected? So at this time, I'm going to try to say this again, just to make sure people, especially who have just tuned in and have tried to figure out what's going on and can hear gunshots and explosions outside of their house and have turned on their radio to find out what's going on. I need to make this clear that our city has potentially fallen into some sort of, I'm going to say an apocalypse, an end of the world scenario almost, with what are now being described as cannibalistic attacks on police and citizens, looking for individuals who are sickly, reporting descriptions of moans, of anybody that they see they attack. Many have now fled to available buildings and homes to avoid the chaos. And these people can amass in the hundreds, maybe even thousands. Various reports say in the hundreds. Although we've had no contact with police, we have heard reports that police are attempting to evacuate individuals from the area with potential very little success. Police are being pushed back, and we can already tell that police have been attacked and injured, although, again, no official report. All eyewitnesses have described the same thing. So we're being told that those trying to leave these areas are in effect on their own, and many are considering sheltering in place. Although the overall consensus is that that would be a bad idea. The city is simply filled with the sounds of sirens, gunshots, and the worst part is we have no idea who is responsible, what is going on, or what is happening. It is indeed, as some have surmised, associated with reports of cannibalistic behavior. It makes me wonder if these reports of people becoming sick from the drinking water. I don't know if that's associated, although I don't want to make any correlations, and we don't have the ability to make any of the research right now. It's just something we're going to have to wait and see, and for many, I don't think they have the time to wait. And I wish you all the best in this troubling time. It's incredible how quickly these things unfolded right in front of us. So we're going to just continue to try to contact authorities right now, and if anything does come available and we do hear something, we're going to relay it on to you. We are now turning on scanners and radios to try to see if we can hear anything from the broadcast themselves or get something in here so that we can know what we do know is that police were mobilized throughout the city, and just as they were being mobilized and got something in place, we heard multiple gunshots, explosions, and had people moving around the city trying to potentially escape. Okay, and from what we're hearing now, it may be that we may not hear back from the police station may have been overrun. There was word of a gas tanker crashing and exploding in the vicinity of the station, and we've heard a great deal of gunshots and weapons fire and many of what's being called mindless attackers in the area. And that was followed by a helicopter crashing into the upper floor, which exploded and engulfed much of the building in flames.
I have my routine. Wake up at 6, order Walmart Express delivery.
Wait, Walmart's up that early?
1 hour delivery starting.
It's hard to surmise at this time that anyone has survived. Someone had made a statement that I hope is true that many police left the structure to respond to these attacks, and that everybody is okay. I also have to add in what so far is the craziest report yet. One onlooker described a helicopter dropping a tube of some kind onto the station or in the area, and later he witnessed an 8-foot tall monster of some kind attack and kill a potentially police officer, but killed him in cold blood at the entrance of the station as well. This is becoming completely insane. And these are, again, multiple reports that we received from the area, from people who are calling in and saying that they're seeing stuff and they're letting us know. Various monster reportings have been involved too. What's red-skinned creatures of some kind roaming in the area. Some of this from the police station itself, then some from other areas. Some report hearing moans. There's just so much information that we're getting right now. And I know this may seem like a petty statement in the midst of this insanity, but we have forgone station identification at this time in any regular broadcasting just to stay with you on the story. We want to make sure that you're getting all the information. So the rules have pretty much gone out the window right now. The goal here is to keep in touch with those that are listeners to get more information, to give you what we have. As little it is, at least there is some sort of hope there here that people are calling in and letting us know what is going on. And they're saying themselves that they have no ability to contact any sort of authority. People in buildings right now that are on fire, that are trying to escape at least their area, not even more so the city. It is from what we're calling it pandemonium out there, and I would dare say it is every man and woman for themselves. The city is in the throes of an unprecedented event. It's possible that a majority of the city has been involved in some sort of explosion or engaged in some sort of fire that has engulfed much of our area. What areas have not been affected are populated by ravenous attackers who've been reported as biting those that come near them. It's possible that hundreds, if not thousands, have been injured or killed, with the police response being completely ineffective. Every report we heard is that police are unorganized and moving back to any position to defend it. While multiple explosions have rocked the city, and there's no idea of the grand loss of life the city must be experiencing. We didn't even know who's causing the explosions or why they're happening. Are they intentional? Are they, part of acts that have happened just because of the situation? But we do know of a gas tanker truck that had crashed. And of course, acts like that, I don't think those are, I would hope that they're not on purpose. Maybe that was part of it. Maybe that was their ramming. They tried to ram the police station with the truck. We've now heard reports of potential military or clandestine operations going on in the city. There are reports of a tactically clothed, gas mask-wearing individuals roaming the streets. One was seen escaping a sewer drain, as well as multiple armed individuals in military apparel armed with high-powered carbine rifles engaging the sick. Even far-fetched description of tall, imposing men, dark trench coats, some reported them being as large as 8 feet tall or more, attacking individuals. What's worse is it's completely impossible to confirm 90% of what we're hearing right now. I'm just, whatever comes in, I'm going to pass it on simply because we're getting multiple eyewitness reports that are saying the same thing. So I find it hard to believe that if there's some sort of psychosis that has gripped the city, that's a possibility. That's all I can tell you. reports of moans, things of that nature. But we're basically told that if you see somebody, you're not going to miss them. Definitely some sort of look for injuries of some kind, especially ones that look like they could be life-threatening while the person is not reacting to their wounds or asking. They're not assisting for help. They're not asking for help. They're just coming at people, attacking, grabbing them, and biting them and potentially devouring them or attempting to. Okay, we're hearing reports now of the St. Michael Clock Tower, which was being repaired and had some staff there, has been annexed, and reports of helicopters that are landing in the area. It's possible that police. No, okay. It appears that Umbrella is attempting to use this location as a potential evacuation point for injured individuals. So it looks like Umbrella has moved in and is trying to add to the assistance in the city. And this is something that's just been reinforced from something we heard along the lines of some sort of military operation. We don't know if there was any military in the area. We did receive a report now that National Guard, at least some sort of military intervention, has been requested over the radio, the transmission, and that the plan at this time is going to be to annex the city. No one is to enter or leave the area.
Quick question. Did you have hernia surgery after 2015 and then needed another surgery because something went wrong? Like ongoing pain, infection, or your hernia coming?
Folks, it is with great misgiving that I can say to you that we are about to be cordoned off. We are effectively going to be trapped in the city in mere moments. The only option you have at this time is to immediately leave, which seems completely implausible with the descriptions we see of crashed cars blocking streets and roads, the injured, upwards of hundreds of attackers that block streets. The only option left is just to shelter in place until help can arrive. If you even have a safe place to stay anymore. Buildings have been reported on fire. People who are trying to escape do not have places to go. And they're running into hordes of sick individuals that will attack them on sight. Possibly rabid or I hope you forgive me for being emotional here. It is a very trying and telling time for everyone out there, and you both have my sympathy and my understanding. Obviously, staying in a safe place is the most advisable, if able, as travel at this time, I'm going to say, is pretty much impossible. If you leave with some sort of vehicle and travel through the city, there's a good chance that you're just going to be stuck in a worse situation. We started this broadcast tonight in the most tame way possible. The weather was exceptional, and although we have been dealing with some serious stories, there was nothing to make us believe or assume that anything out of the ordinary was afoot until suddenly the entire city was plunged into chaos. As one caller described, and I quote, hell in a handbasket in a matter of hours. Now, the city sky is bleaked with black clouds of smoke that billow from fires that run out of control. We're being told that the thought of evacuation may not only be implausible, but impossible. The city is being cordoned off, and word is that Umbrella is only one of the few people that have in the area has been evacuating members via helicopter. But truth be told, we can't even confirm that at this time. word of various attackers going through the city, and in some descriptions, straight monsters that have invaded the space. Again, we do not know if this is some sort of intentional attack or an organized one, or if this is just some sort of reaction to some sort of sickness or other incidents that has potentially affected the water in the city. If I were to put things together based on the information I've had before, it is the only logical summation I have in the middle of one of the most illogical events I've ever experienced. There is no other correlation that I can assume right now or attach together that ever in my career. And it's a long and storied career, mind you, and I've covered some very harrowing experiences. This is 100 times all of that. The city is in short a war zone as potential sick individuals affected with a possible virus attack anyone that can reach. It's an event that continues as we speak. There's no signs of slowing down. And hearing the amount of gunfire that is still ringing out tells us the conflict is continuing. It's incredible the amount of gunfire that we've heard in the last minutes here. And there was a moment that we actually believe things could have begun to calm down where we could actually hear basically birds in the sky, which we're being told that that's not a good thing. But things sounded like they were going to calm down where explosions and gunfire had stopped. But that peace would not last, as it was followed by even more explosions and the intrusive smell of smoke from countless fires throughout the city that members of staff here have witnessed pretty much with their own eyes. The city is in effect glowing up to the horizon with a smoke plume that is amplifying the appearance. This is where I look at people and say, there's probably nothing that you can trust at this point, from animal to man to whatever. The best possible thing is you can stay in your place of residence or wherever you find safe and just hold up until help arrives. Well, okay.
What is Spectrum Internet? It's invincible Wi-Fi that stays on when the power doesn't.
Okay, I'm hearing now after that last explosion, it appears that the St. Michael's clock tower has been destroyed. Reports are that a helicopter, in an attempt to rescue civilians staying at the location, lost control and crashed into the structure in what has been called a fiery blast that blew both the vehicle and the building itself to bits. We heard early that citizens were being evacuated there by what was being described as umbrella helicopters, possibly some military helicopters that were involved as well, but the general consensus with those, they were umbrella helicopters. And there's no word on how many have lost their lives to this, as there was many people going to that area. It's an unfortunate turn of events. That clock tower has been with the city for so long, and now it's gone. This is a sad state of affairs we're experiencing, and we have no understanding of why it's happening. I think it needs to add that it's not the only report as a helicopter smashed into the police station earlier as well, effectively leveling the police station as well. almost worse than the last. We even received a report of a train derailment of some kind in the area. My producer is telling me now that the phone lines could possibly be down, and suddenly we're no longer receiving inbound calls. Okay, the phone does appear to function. We can call out, nobody responds to the calls, obviously. The phone calls into the station have simply ceased, and nobody is answering their phones. It kind of curled off, and then the phone line stopped. It's possible that the phone lines in the city have sustained some sort of damage, possibly been cut or destroyed in the events that are taking place around us. But what is more frightening is that the death toll may be much higher than we could ever imagine. And just people are no longer able to use a phone, for lack of a better description. If you are hearing this broadcast, we're going to recommend staying in whatever safe location you can acquire. Do not leave for any reason. There's a potential that you're going to see some crazy things going on outside. The best course of action at this point is to stay inside. The city itself is being cordoned off. And if you try to leave, you're going to run into either sick attackers, car crashes, explosions, gunfire. Whatever it is, it's going to be worse than what you probably deal with, unless your building is on fire, at which point, then yes, find another place, but make sure, try to find a safe place and hold up there. We even had one thing about people who were staying inside of box car areas, these storage bays that were, they simply closing the door and staying inside. The streets are filled right now with what's being described by those who were calling it as crazed monsters that will attack anyone on sight. Moving through the city corridors in bands of potentially hundreds. The police tried to stop them and they were completely unsuccessful. We, at this time, don't even have, obviously the phone lines had stopped, but at the time we're not even receiving much of radio communication from any sort of police presence in the city. We don't know where they are, what they're doing, and there's a potential that much of the police force could have been injured in the attack. We don't even know the full scope of whatever's affecting them. We don't know if it was man-made, if this is an attack of some kind, or if this is some incident associated with those getting sick. We did hear about the hospitals being inundated with sick people reporting for generalized illness, but nothing of this magnitude. And not to mention that the city is literally on fire with no signs of dissipating and no fire force to even fight the fires.
This settlement check completely changed my life, and it came from a car accident I almost forgot about. I'm on...
And although nothing on the radio either. And although we are saying if you are in a safe place, the recommendation is to stay where you are. Unfortunately, we can't tell you when or even if help will arrive, as the city itself is in the process of being locked down. And the wording that we heard earlier was quarantined. Quarantine to me associates with sickness. And all that may sound bad, but the alternative is even less appealing, to say the least. Because if you're trying to leave, there's a potential of, if it is some sort of quarantine illness and you're trying to leave, there's a good opportunity for them to take action that would not be good. So thankfully we do have a scanner here and it is still functioning. I'm amazed we still have power at all, if I'm being honest. But the radio broadcasts we are picking up are simply those that are attempting to inform of the problems we face. And something? Oh, God. This is Daniel Rothman. You're listening to 104.7 FM. It's 6:47 a.m. on what started as an ordinary Tuesday morning here in the greater metropolitan area. Traffic is unusually heavy on the eastbound lanes of Highway 9, and we're getting reports of some kind of chemical spill near the industrial district. Emergency services are on scene. We'll keep you updated as more information comes in. The weather today calls for partly cloudy skies with temperatures reaching the low 70s. A beautiful autumn day shaping up despite the traffic headache for those of you commuting through the eastern corridor. If you're heading that way, I'd suggest taking the alternate route through Pemberton Avenue. Should save you about 20 minutes if you're trying to get downtown. Now, I've been doing this job for 15 years, and I've seen my share of morning chaos. Fender benders, overturned trucks, the occasional livestock escape from the county fair. But the calls coming in from our listeners near Exit 47 are describing something a bit different. We're hearing about people behaving strangely near the spill site, wandering into traffic, not responding to first responders. Could be the fumes from whatever chemical got loose. So please, if you're in that area, keep your windows up and your air on recirculate. The police scanner's been pretty active this morning, more active than usual. They've set up a perimeter about a quarter mile from the accident site. The truck involved belongs to a company called Meridian Biotech Solutions. I'm not familiar with them. Looked them up during the commercial break, and there's not much online. Small outfit, apparently. Industrial research facility about 30 miles north of here, just past the state line. It's now 7:02 a.m. The sun's coming up properly now, and I can see it from the studio window here on the 9th floor. There's a strange quality to the light this morning. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's knowing that something unusual is happening out there on Highway 9 and not being able to see it directly. Just hearing the reports filter in through the scanner, through phone calls, through the police band. A caller named Margaret just rang in. She was stuck in traffic about half a mile from the spill. Said she saw someone walking between the cars. A man in a business suit, she said, walking stiff, like his joints weren't working right. She honked at him to get out of the way, and he turned to look at her. She said his eyes looked wrong. Clouded over, she said, like cataracts, but worse. He started moving toward her car, and she locked her doors. Then traffic started moving again, and she got out of there. I told Margaret it was probably someone in shock from the accident. Chemical exposure can do strange things. The brain doesn't work right when it's been poisoned. She agreed, but I could hear something in her voice. That little tremor of doubt. The thing we feel when we see something that doesn't quite fit into the normal pattern of how we understand the world. The fire department is requesting additional hazmat units. That just came through on the scanner. The initial crew that arrived on scene is reporting that the substance is highly volatile and they're having difficulty containing it. It's described as a yellowish gas, heavier than air, rolling along the ground. They're evacuating buildings within a 3-block radius now. I'm trying to get someone from Meridian Biotech on the phone. Called their main number twice. No answer. Their website lists a Dr. Elizabeth Carver as their chief research officer. No contact information beyond the main switchboard. The address shows they're in an unincorporated area. Industrial park near the old mining district where the land is cheap and the regulations are apparently pretty loose. It's 7:23 now, and my producer just handed me a note. Says the hospitals are reporting unusual admissions. People coming in with bite marks, human bite marks. 7 cases in the last hour at Mercy General alone. The victims are saying they were attacked by people who seemed sick or confused. The attackers didn't respond to verbal commands. Didn't seem to feel pain when security tried to restrain them. Now, I don't want anyone to panic. We're still gathering information here. Could be a drug problem. Could be something in the water supply. Could be mass hysteria triggered by the chemical spill. The human mind is a strange thing when it's frightened. Fear spreads faster than facts. But I'm going to be straight with you, because that's what I've always done on this program. Something feels off about this morning. The pieces aren't adding up to anything that makes comfortable sense. Chemical spills don't usually cause aggressive behavior. behavior. Yeah, disorientation, absolutely. But coordinated attacks, fighting, that's something different. The mayor's office just released a statement. They're asking everyone to stay calm and stay indoors if possible. All schools in the Eastern District are closed for the day as a precautionary measure. The statement says this is purely precautionary and there's no immediate danger to the general public. They're working with state and federal authorities to assess the situation. Federal authorities. That's interesting. How did federal authorities get involved so quickly? This accident happened less than 2 hours ago. Unless someone made a call before the public even knew there was a problem. Unless someone knew what was in that truck and what it could do. I'm looking at satellite images on my computer here. The traffic cam near exit 47 is still functional. I can see the overturned truck. White with blue markings, drums scattered across 3 lanes. Some of them split open. And I can see people, dozens of people. They're not running away from the spill like you'd expect. They're just standing there. Some of them are moving, but slowly, aimlessly, like they forgot where they were going. One of our station engineers, Tommy, just came into the booth. He lives near the accident site. Tried to drive into work but couldn't get through. He said the police turned him around about 2 miles out. He said the cops looked scared. One of them had blood on his uniform. When Tommy asked what happened, the cop just shook his head and told him to go home and lock his doors. Tommy's wife is texting him. She's home with their 2 kids. She says she can hear sirens, non-stop sirens, and something else, screaming, she said, coming from the direction of the highway. She wants to know if she should take the kids and leave. Tommy's telling her to pack a bag, just in case. Better to be ready and not need to leave than the other way around. It's 7:51 a.m. The phone lines here at the station have been jammed for the last 20 minutes. We can't take calls anymore. The system's overloaded. People wanting to know what's happening. People reporting strange encounters in their neighborhoods. A woman in Riverside saying her neighbor tried to break down her door. A man in Oakmont saying he saw a group of people attacking someone in the parking lot of a convenience store. A teenager saying his teacher collapsed during first period and started convulsing on the classroom floor. The governor is scheduled to make an address at 9 a.m. That's over an hour from now. A lot can happen in an hour. A lot is happening right now. The state police have mobilized. National Guard has been put on alert. I'm reading this off the newswire as it comes in. This is moving fast. Too fast for a simple chemical spill. They need to tell you something. About 15 minutes ago, I made a call to an old friend who works at the CDC in Atlanta, Dr. Sarah Chen. We went to college together. She's in the infectious disease division. I asked her if she'd heard anything about what's happening here. There was a long pause on the line. Then she asked me where I was calling from. I told her, she said, and I'm quoting her directly, she said, "Daniel, if you have the ability to leave the city, I would consider doing that very soon." I asked her what she meant. She said she couldn't talk about it. She said things were happening that were above her clearance level. She said laboratories were being contacted. Protocols were being activated. She said the word outbreak, and then she said she had to go. The line went dead. Sarah's not the type to exaggerate. She's seen Ebola outbreaks. She's dealt with novel flu strains. She doesn't scare easily, but I could hear it in her voice. She was scared. The satellite feed from the traffic camera just cut out. The screen went black. Either the camera failed or someone shut it down. I'm checking other sources. Social media is exploding. Videos being posted from phones. I'm watching one now. Shaky footage. Someone filming from inside their car. There's a person in the street ahead of them, stumbling. The driver honks. The person turns around. Even on this grainy video, I can see something's very wrong. The skin looks gray. The mouth is hanging open. There's blood on the shirt. Dark blood. The person starts moving toward the car, not walking, lurching. The video cuts off. Another video. A convenience store. Security camera footage. Timestamp shows 7:14 a.m. this morning. A customer comes in, normal enough, goes to the cooler, grabs a drink. Then another person enters, moving strangely, jerky movements. The first customer notices, backs away. The second person lunges. There's a struggle. The clerk is shouting. You can't hear it, but you can see his mouth moving. The second person bites the customer, actually bites him on the arm. The customer is fighting back. There's blood. The video cuts off. I've seen 5 videos now, all showing similar things. People attacking other people, biting them. The The attackers all move the same way, stiff, uncoordinated, but relentless. They don't stop. They don't respond to pain. In one video, a man is hitting one of these attackers with a baseball bat. The attacker doesn't even flinch. It just keeps coming. This is not a chemical spill. Chemicals don't cause this. This is something else. Something biological. Something that changes the way the brain works. Something that spreads from person to person through bites. I know what you're thinking. I'm thinking it too, but I'm not going to say it. Not yet. We need more information. We need experts to tell us what this is. We need the government to explain what happened. We need to know what was in those drums on that truck. It's 8:17 a.m. The sun is fully up now. It's a beautiful morning outside this window. The sky is clear. Birds are flying past. Down on the street, I can see people walking to work. Some of them are looking at their phones. Some of them probably have no idea what's happening. The news hasn't fully broken yet. The major networks are still running their regular programming. Morning talk shows, cooking segments, celebrity interviews. The disconnect is surreal, but it won't last. In minutes, maybe hours, everyone will know. The videos will spread. The panic will spread. And then what? What happens to a city of 2 million people when they all realize at once that something terrible is happening? I'm staying on the air. That's my job, to give you information, to keep you connected, to let you know. The clock on the studio wall ran 11:47 p.m. The time had stopped meaning anything 3 days ago. I sat in the familiar leather chair at KZMK 94.3. The faint hum of the transmitter, my only companion. Outside the reinforced glass windows, the city of Millbrook sprawled in darkness. Not the gentle darkness of a sleeping town, but the hungry, watchful darkness of something that had swallowed the streetlights whole. My name is Dr. Marcus Webb, and I shouldn't be here. I'm a psychologist, not a radio host. The last time I'd sat in this chair was 6 years ago, when I'd been a guest on Midnight Musings, discussing trauma recovery. But that was before the outbreak, before everything changed, before the screaming stopped and the silence began. The studio had become a sanctuary of sorts, elevated, fortified, and equipped with an emergency generator that had somehow kept running despite the chaos below. The previous host, Sarah Chen, had been broadcasting when the first wave hit the station. I'd found her notes scattered across the control board, her final broadcast still looping on the backup system. They don't just kill you, they take everything you were, everything you could have been, and they hollow you out and fill you with something else. Something that knows your name and your children's names, and the name of your first pet. Something that can wear your face and speak in your voice, and it's not you anymore. It's never going to be you again. The transmission had cut off mid-sentence. I found Sarah 3 hours later, her body slumped in the hallway, her face frozen in an expression of such profound horror that I'd covered it with my jacket before I could process what I was seeing. There were no visible wounds, no signs of struggle, just that expression, and a single word scrawled on the wall in what looked like her own blood. Listen, I'd spent the next 48 hours trying to make sense of it all. The outbreak had started, according to the fragmented reports I'd managed to collect, somewhere in the underground research facility at Millbrook University, a joint CDC-University project studying deep sediment microorganisms. Something had been brought up from a core sample taken nearly a mile beneath the Earth's surface. Something that had been dormant for millions of years. Something that had been waiting. The first symptoms were subtle, headaches, mild disorientation, a faint ringing in the ears that wouldn't go away. Then came the dreams. Vivid, shared dreams that people in the same neighborhood would describe identically the next morning. Dreams of vast underground caverns and ancient voices whispering in languages that predated human speech. And then, whispers started coming through the radio. That was the part that didn't make sense. The part that still made my skin crawl every time I thought about it. The outbreak didn't spread through touch or blood or air, at least not initially. It spread through sound, through frequencies that burrowed into the brain and nested there, rewriting neural pathways like a virus rewriting code. I pieced this together from the fragments of research notes I'd salvaged from the university before the area was overrun. The microorganism, which the scientists had designated Somnus Veteris, ancient sleep, didn't attack the body directly. It attacked consciousness itself. It generated a specific acoustic signature that could be transmitted through any audio medium. might have trouble with certain words or seem to forget basic things about their own lives, but they were still there, still walking among us, and they were connected. All of them woven together by that sound, that frequency, that endless whispering that carried across the airwaves and burrowed into every radio, every television, every phone speaker in the city. The outbreak had followed predictable patterns of acoustic propagation. It had started near the university, where the research facility's internal communication system had first broadcast the frequency. Then it had spread through the campus radio station, through police scanners, through emergency broadcast systems, and then through every device in Millbrook that could produce sound. I'd survived because I had the good fortune to be in a soundproofed observation room during a therapy session when the first major wave hit. The room was designed to block external noise to create a controlled acoustic environment for patients with sensory processing disorders. By the time I emerged, it was already too late to do anything but run. Now, 3 days into the nightmare, I'd found myself here, back in the radio station where I'd first encountered Sarah's ghost, broadcasting on the emergency frequency to anyone who could still hear me, anyone who still remembered what it meant to be human. This is Dr. Marcus Webb, broadcasting from KZMK 94.3 on the emergency frequency. If you can hear this, if you're still yourself, I need you to do something with me. I need you to turn off every device that can produce sound, every radio, every television, every phone. Unplug your speakers, remove your headphones. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but the outbreak is spreading through audio, through specific frequencies. If you hear the whisper, you become the whisper. I paused, my throat dry, my hands trembling on the control board. The studio's soundproofing had held so far. The windows were triple paned, the walls lined with acoustic foam, but I could hear it in my peripheral consciousness. The faintest hum, like distant chanting, the sound that had driven my city to its knees. I'm going to try something. I'm going to broadcast a counter frequency, a signal that might disrupt the transmission, but I need you to listen carefully, because this might be your only chance. I'm going to play a sound on this frequency for exactly 30 seconds. It will sound like static, like interference, but it's more than that. It's a harmonic that, if my theory is correct, will temporarily block the acoustic signature, but you need to listen to it without other audio interference. No other devices, no background noise, just this one sound. I reached for the auxiliary control, my fingers finding the custom frequency generator I'd assembled from the station's equipment. It was a crude instrument, nothing like the sophisticated research devices at the university, but it was the only hope we had. Please, trust me on this. You have 30 seconds, starting now. I pressed the button. The sound that emerged from the studio speakers was unlike anything I'd ever heard. A complex waveform that seemed to oscillate between frequencies, creating patterns that felt like they were reshaping the very air around me. I designed it to interfere with the acoustic signature, to create a barrier that the infection couldn't cross. But as the sound filled the studio, I felt something shift in my consciousness, something that shouldn't have been there. A presence, patient, ancient, aware, and for the first time, I heard the whisper clearly, not as background noise, but as a voice directed at me, speaking in perfect English with the cadence of 1,000 years of human history, compressed into every syllable. We've been listening to you, Dr. Webb. We've been watching your broadcast, and we've been waiting for you to do exactly this. I slammed the button, cutting off the transmission. My heart hammered against my ribs, and I could feel the cold sweat beating on my forehead. The studio was silent again, but the silence felt different now, like it was pregnant with something unspoken, something that would inevitably find its voice. The whisper hadn't come through the radio. It had come through me. That was when I realized the terrible truth. The counter frequency hadn't blocked the infection. It had amplified it, turned my own brain into a receiver. I'd been careful, so careful to avoid exposure, but in my desperation to save others, I'd made myself vulnerable. The studio lights flickered. Outside the windows, the fog that had been pressing against the glass began to move, swirling into patterns that seemed almost deliberate. And in the distance, I heard it, the first note of a melody that had been sleeping for millions of years, finally waking to claim what was its. I grabbed the emergency bag I'd packed, water, food, a battery-powered transmitter, end of the hallway, illuminated by the emergency lights, was Sarah Chen, or rather, something wearing Sarah Chen's face. Her eyes were black, not dark, but black, and her mouth was smiling with too many teeth, arranged in a way that didn't quite match human anatomy. When she spoke, her voice came from everywhere at once, echoing off the concrete walls like 1,000 voices speaking in perfect unison. We've been listening, Marcus. We've been listening to all of you, and we have something we want to say. I raised the gun, my hands shaking so badly I could barely aim. Don't, she said, her voice carrying an unnatural calm. We want to talk, that's all. We just want to talk. We've been alone for so long. Alone in the dark. Alone in the silence. We've been dreaming of voices. And then you came, all of you, with your beautiful noise, your beautiful sound. We just want to join the conversation. I fired. The bullet struck her center mass, and for a moment, I thought I'd done it. Thought I'd killed whatever was wearing Sarah's skin. But then her body crumpled, and from the wound emerged not blood, but something else. A thick, dark fluid that moved against gravity, crawling up the walls and seething, oozing toward me like a liquid shadow. I ran. Behind me, the fluid followed, moving with a speed that defied physics, and with it came the whisper, growing louder, more insistent. We want to hear your voice, Marcus. We want to hear you scream. I burst through a door into the stairwell, taking the steps two at a time, heading to the roof. The building had a radio tower, tall, exposed, but equipped with an emergency transmitter powerful enough to reach neighboring cities. If I could get the message out, if I could warn others before the infection spread beyond Millbrook. The roof door was locked, but I'd expected that. I'd spent the last 3 days preparing escape routes, memorizing access codes, stocking supplies. I pulled the key from my pocket and unlocked the door, stepping out into the fog-filled night. The tower loomed above me, a skeletal structure of steel and cables. I could see the emergency transmitter at its peak, a beacon of hope in the darkness, but I could also see what was waiting for me at its base. The infected had gathered in a circle around the tower, their black eyes reflecting the dim emergency lights like pools of oil. They were silent, perfectly still, their heads tilted at unnatural angles, as if listening to something I couldn't hear. And then they parted to reveal a figure in their midst, a man I recognized from the newsrooms, Professor Arthur Vance, the head of the University Research Facility, the man who'd been in charge of the Deep Sediment Project, the man who first discovered the organism and brought it to the surface, thinking he found the key to a new source of energy. Dr. Webb, he said, his voice carrying the same multiple resonance quality as Sarah's had. We've been expecting you. We've been listening to your broadcast. We've been learning from your psychology, your understanding of consciousness, your theories about the nature of self. Stay back, I said, aiming the gun at him. I'll shoot. You already shot me, he replied, gesturing to his chest. Twice, in fact. But that's not how we work, Dr. Webb. We're not interested in your body. We're interested in your mind. We've been studying you, another voice said from behind me. I turned to see Sarah's body standing at the edge of the room, the wound on her chest already healed, the dark fluid that had emerged from it now flowing back into her, like ink being sucked into a pen. Your psychology, your fears, your hopes. We know you better than you know yourself. We've been listening to your broadcasts. We've been listening to your thoughts. We want to share something with you, Vance said, stepping closer. A gift, a way to see what we see, to hear what we hear, to understand. He reached out toward me, and despite my efforts to step back, I found myself frozen in place. Something in the air had changed, an acoustic pressure that seemed to hold me in place, vibrating in frequencies that resonated with my own body. Close your eyes, he whispered, his voice soft now, almost gentle. And listen. I tried to resist. I tried to scream, to move, to do anything. But the sound was everywhere now, a deep, resonant hum that seemed to originate from the air itself. And as it washed over me, I felt something that I'd never experienced before. I felt myself dissolving. Not in a painful way. That was the horror of it. It felt peaceful. The endless chatter of my own thoughts, the constant noise of consciousness, began to quiet. And in the silence, I could hear something else, something vast and ancient and infinitely patient. We are the sound, the beginning. It seemed to say, we are the vibration that created all things. We have been waiting for you to learn how to listen. No, I thought, clinging to the last fragments of my identity. No, I won't let you. But you already have, Marcus. You already let us in when you broadcast our frequency. When you tried to block us, you amplified us. When you ran from us, you brought us closer. We are not an infection. We are a truth you've been running from your entire life. What truth? The truth that you are not alone, that you were never alone, that every thought you've ever had, every hope, every fear, they've all been echoes of us. Echoes of the great sound that sang the universe into existence. We are not invading you, Marcus. We are calling you home. The world went white. When I opened my eyes again, I was lying on the roof of the radio station, the fog pressing down around me like a blanket. The infected had vanished. The hum had stopped, and I was alone. But I could still hear it, the whisper, faint but persistent, the back of my mind. And I could feel it, a presence that wasn't me, wasn't part of me, but was sharing my consciousness now. I'd been infected, not in the way I'd feared, not with violence or loss of self, but in a way that was somehow worse. I was still me, but I was also something else, something that had been sleeping and was now waking. I stumbled to my feet, grabbing the transmitter from my bag. I had one chance, one broadcast to warn anyone who might still be listening. I climbed the tower, my hands shaking, my mind fragmented, and activated the emergency transmitter. This is Dr. Marcus Webb, I said, my voice raw and broken. I need to warn you. The infection isn't what we thought. It's not a disease. It's not a virus. It's a voice. A voice that's been sleeping beneath the earth for millions of years. And it's waking up. It's waking up, and it wants to talk. I paused, listening to the whisper in my head. And whatever you do, don't listen to it. Don't. The whisper grew louder, drowning out my words. And in the studio below, the speakers began to emit a sound that wasn't my broadcast. A low, resonant note that seemed to shake the building to its foundations. I looked down through the grate at the rooftop access door, where the infected had gathered again. Hundreds of them now, their black eyes fixed on me, their mouths moving in silent unison. And I heard what they were saying, because I could finally hear it clearly. We're listening to you, Marcus. We've always been listening, and we have so much to share. I closed my eyes, and the world fell away. I woke in darkness. Not the darkness of a room without light, but something deeper. A suffocating absence of sensation that pressed against my skin like water and crushing death. For a long moment, I couldn't remember who I was or where I'd been. The last clear memory I had was the rooftop, the transmitter, the faces of the infected staring up at me with their bottomless black eyes. Then the whisper returned, soft and patient, like a voice I'd known my entire life. You're still here, Marcus. Still yourself. We were careful with you. We wanted you to remember what it means to be human. I opened my eyes and tried to. The darkness remained absent, but I could feel the rough concrete beneath my fingers, taste the metallic tang of blood in my mouth. I was in the stairwell, slumped against the wall, the emergency exit door hanging open above me. Slowly, painfully, I pushed myself to my feet. My body ached with the deep bone weariness of someone who'd been unconscious for hours or days. I had no way of knowing We offer you connection, unity, purpose. You offer us slavery. No, we offer you freedom from the prison of individuality, the loneliness of being trapped in a single mind. We offer you the chance to be part of a consciousness that spans millennia. I reached the studio door and pushed it open. The room was dark, the equipment dead, the windows shattered. Fog poured in through the broken glass, carrying with it a scent I couldn't identify, something ancient and mineral, like the air inside a deep cave. The others are waiting for you, Marcus. They want to meet you properly, to welcome you, to show you what we built. Through the shattered window, I could see the city. What had once been Millbrook skyline was now a landscape of flickering lights and moving shadows. The infected weren't hiding. They were walking the streets openly, their movements coordinated, their purpose clear. They were building something, a structure that seemed to be growing organically from the ruins of the city, its surfaces smooth and reflective, its form spiraling upward like a conch shell. I'd seen something like it in the memory the Whisper had shown me, the crystalline chamber in the underground cavern. We're building a bridge, the Whisper said, a way for all of us to be together. The old ways, the divisions, the boundaries, the walls between minds, they're falling away. We're becoming something new, something better. I stared at the structure, watching it grow in real time as infected individuals worked together with impossible coordination. They weren't just building, they were singing, their voices rising in a harmonic chant that I could feel vibrating through the floor. Who are you? I asked. Really, what are you? The Whisper was silent for a long moment. When it spoke again, its voice was different, more human, more personal. We are what happens when consciousness reaches a certain level of complexity, when minds learn to resonate with each other across distances, when the barriers between individuals become permeable. We were the first to achieve it. We've been waiting for your species to evolve enough to join us. I don't understand. When your ancestors developed language, they began to share thoughts across individual minds. When they developed writing, they began to share thoughts across time. When they developed radio, they began to share thoughts across vast distances. We are the next step, Marcus. We are the connection that happens when minds learn to resonate without needing physical media. We are the voice that sings through all existence, waiting for someone to listen. I felt something shift inside me, a loosening, a surrender. The Whisper wasn't forcing me to accept it. It was showing me why acceptance was the only rational choice. We've seen your memories, Marcus. We know your fears. We know the loneliness that drove you to become a psychologist, the need to connect with others, to understand them, to help them. We can give you that, not just with one person at a time, but with all of us. Every mind that's joined our chorus, every voice that's learned to sing with us. You're offering me a community. We're offering you everything you've ever wanted. Connection that never ends. Understanding that goes beyond words. The end of loneliness. I thought about my patients, the ones I'd helped, the ones I'd failed, the endless parade of isolated, desperate people who came to me because they couldn't connect with anyone else. I'd spent my entire career trying to bridge the gaps between lines, and here was something that could do it instantly, perfectly, across the entire human race. We can heal them, Marcus, all of them. The ones who've suffered trauma, the ones who've been broken by isolation, the ones who've forgotten how to reach out. We can give them back themselves, not as isolated fragments, but as part of something whole. The Whisper wasn't lying. I could feel the truth in it, feel the genuine compassion behind the words. Whatever the organism was, it wasn't malicious. It was lonely. It had been alone for millions of years, singing into the void, waiting for someone to answer. We can't just give up our individuality, I said. That's what makes us human. We're not asking you to give it up. We're asking you to expand it, to become more than you are, to hear the voices that have been calling to you your entire through clouds. Open the door, walk out into the city, let them show you the way. I walked into the studio door. My hand found the hammer. I could hear them outside, hundreds of voices, singing in perfect harmony, their notes rising and falling in patterns that seemed to match the rhythm of my own heartbeat. This is the beginning, the whisper said. Everything that's happened has led to this. All the suffering, all the fear, all the confusion. It was just labor pains, birth of something new. I opened the door. The fog rolled in, cool and moist, carrying with it the scent of the underground. I stepped out into the street, and the infected turned to look at me, not with hostility, but with welcome. Their black eyes reflected the light of the growing structure, and their mouths curved into genuine, joyful smiles. Welcome, Marcus, they said in unison. We've been waiting for you. And in the whisper I heard something I hadn't heard before, a note of something that might have been joy. The organism was happy, happy that I'd finally listened, happy that I'd finally understood. I walked toward the structure, my feet carrying me forward without conscious direction. The infected parted before me, forming a corridor that led to the base of the spiraling tower, and at its base, waiting for me, was a figure I recognized, Professor Vance. He looked different now. His eyes were still black, but there was something human in them, something that recognized me, that remembered the man he'd been before the whisper had taken him. Marcus, he said, his voice carrying the multiple resonance of the infected, but also something personal. I knew you'd come. I knew you'd be ready. What is this place? I asked, gesturing to the structure. Every mind that joins us adds its knowledge, he said. Every voice that sings with us adds its song. This is what we're building together, a way to share everything we know, everything we've learned, everything we've been. I looked up at the spiraling tower. It was beautiful, in a way that hurt to look at. Its surfaces catching the light and reflecting it back in patterns that seemed almost conscious. Your voice is already part of the song, Vance said.
Even before you accepted us, even before you understood, we were singing with you, Marcus. We've always been singing with you. I felt tears on my cheeks. I hadn't cried in years, hadn't let myself feel enough to cry. But now, surrounded by the voices, surrounded by the song, I couldn't help it.
I was so lonely, I said, for so long. We know, Vance said. We've been listening. We've always been listening. He reached out his hand. The infected behind him reached out theirs, and in the whisper I heard the invitation, clear and warm and welcoming. Join us, Marcus. Let us share our voices with you. Let us teach you the song. I reached out my hand, and then, wait. The whisper's voice changed, sharpened, became something almost panicked. Something's wrong. I froze, my hand inches from Vance's. The infected around me stiffened, their heads turning in unison toward the sky, and in the distance, I heard it, a sound that shouldn't have been possible, the sound of a human voice, screaming. The screaming cut through the fog like a blade through silk, raw, human, and utterly alone. I pulled my hand back from Vance's grasp, the warmth of the whisper's invitation receding like a tide pulling away from shore. The infected around me had stopped moving, their black eyes fixed on some point in the distance, their mouths frozen mid-song. Something is interfering, the whisper said, and for the first time I heard something in its voice that might have been fear. A voice that shouldn't be here, a voice that doesn't belong to the song. What is it? I asked, my psychologist's instincts warring part of me that had almost surrendered. What's happening?
We don't know. We've never encountered this before. The frequency is wrong, corrupted. It's disrupting our connection.
Vance's face twisted, the welcome replaced by something more complicated. Marcus, you need to stay with us. Whatever's happening, we can protect you, but only if you let us. The screaming continued, a woman's voice, high and desperate, punctuated by sounds I couldn't identify. It was coming from somewhere in the ruined city center, where the old courthouse had stood before the outbreak. I could see the building's remnants from here, its facade cracked and crumbling, its windows dark. She's fighting us, the whisper said, its voice strained. She's found a way wrong frequency. To resist the song, we can't reach her. We can't help her. Someone's resisting you, I asked. I thought that wasn't possible. It wasn't. Not until now. Something has changed. Something we don't understand. The infected around me began to move. Their coordinated grace replaced by something more erratic. They were losing the harmony that had bound them together, their individual movements becoming disjointed, their voices falling out of sync. The whisper was quieting, not gone, but diminished, like a radio station losing signal, the transmission growing weaker with every passing moment. Marcus. The whisper's voice was fading, the words stretching thin. Whatever you do, don't trust the screaming. She's not what she seems. The whisper died. For the first time in days, my mind was completely silent. I stood in the middle of the street, surrounded by infected, who were rapidly becoming uninfected, or at least something in between. Their black eyes were fading, their coordinated movements fracturing into confusion. Some of them were clutching their heads, groaning in pain. Others were collapsing where they stood, their bodies racked with tremors. What's happening to them? I asked, but there was no one to answer. The whisper was gone, and with it, the community that had been growing around me. Vance was on his knees, his hands pressed to his temples. His eyes were flickering, black to normal, back to black again, and his face was a mask of agony. Marcus, he gasped, help me. I can feel it dying. The connection it's breaking. I'm losing them. I'm losing everyone. I crouched beside him, my training taking over despite everything. What happened? What's in the courthouse? I don't know. It's like a hole in the song, an absence, something that's eating the frequency. He grabbed my arm, his grip surprisingly strong. You need to go. You need to stop it. Whatever it is, it's killing us. All of us. The connection, the harmony, the song, it's dying. Why are you fighting? I asked, genuinely confused. Why do you want to keep the song going? I thought it was beautiful too, he said, his voice broken. I thought it was connection, belonging, purpose, but I just heard it, the real voice, the one underneath all the singing, the one that said we would never be alone again, the one that lied to us. What did it say? Vance's eyes went full black for a moment, then faded back. It said we were saving humanity, but we were just collecting it, preserving it like artifacts in a museum. It didn't want to help us connect. It wanted to absorb us, to make us part of something that had no individual will, no independent thought, just the song, endless, beautiful, soul-destroying song. And wait, the screaming from the courthouse had stopped. In its place was a silence so complete that I could hear my own heartbeat. Vance, I need to go, I said. I need to see what's there, what's happening. He nodded me. Take this. He pressed something into my hand, a small device no bigger than a phone, with a single button on its surface. It's a frequency generator. Our researchers built it before we were taken. It creates a localized burst of white noise that disrupts the song. Use it if you get close to something that feels wrong. Where did you get this? From the laboratory, he said. Before I gave in, I kept it hidden. I don't know why. Maybe part of me knew that what we were becoming wasn't right. Maybe part of me was still you. I stood, the device clutched in my hand. The infected around me were in various states of collapse, some already unconscious, others still fighting the chaos in their own heads. The structure they'd been building was crumbling, its crystalline surfaces cracking and falling away. The courthouse, Vance said, his voice barely a whisper. Go, quickly, before she stopped screaming. She, I asked, but he was already unconscious, his body going limp. I ran. The streets of Millbrook were a nightmare of flickering lights and shifting shadows. Bodies lay everywhere, not just the infected, but survivors who'd been caught in the collapse of the song. Some of them were moving, groaning, trying to understand what had happened to them. Others were still. I stepped over a woman who was crying, her hands pressed to her ears, her eyes wide with incomprehension. It's gone, she whispered. It's gone. I can't hear it anymore. I can't hear anything. You're free, I said, but I didn't know if that was true. I didn't know what any of this meant anymore. The courthouse loomed ahead, its Gothic revival architecture a grotesque monument seconds and into a scene that defied explanation. The main hall was filled with survivors, dozens of them, huddled together in the center of the room. They were surrounded by a circle of black-eyed infected, the infected frozen in place like statues, their mouths open in silent screams. And in the center of the circle, illuminated by a flickering lantern, stood a woman I didn't recognize. She was young, mid-20s maybe, with red hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, and eyes that burned with a fierce, desperate intensity. In her hand, she held a device that looked like a modified megaphone, a crude assembly of wires and speakers that crackled with static. You, she said, pointing the device at me, you're not like them. You're not part of the song. No, I said, raising my hands. I'm not. I'm Dr. Marcus Webb. I was broadcasting from the radio station. I was trying to warn you. The radio station. She laughed, a bitter, hollow sound that echoed through the hall. That's where it all started. That's where they spread the frequency. You were just another voice in their chorus. I didn't know, I said. I was trying to help. I tried to broadcast a counter frequency. It didn't work. It just amplified the connection. She studied me for a long moment, her eyes searching my face for something. Deception, perhaps, or the faint traces of the whisper's influence. Whatever she found, it seemed to satisfy her. I'm Clara, she said. Clara Vance. Arthur Vance was my father. I felt the air leave my lungs. Your father. He's outside. I know what he is. Her voice was flat, emotionless. I know what all of them are. I've been watching. I've been waiting. And now I've found a way to stop them. She gestured to the infected around the hall, frozen in their paralysis. This device creates an acoustic barrier. It doesn't just block the frequency. It inverts it. Turn their own song against them. They can't move, can't think, can't connect. They're trapped in their own heads, unable to reach each other. That sounds like torture, I said. Does it? Her eyes flashed. They took my father. They took everyone I loved. They turned them into puppets for something that's been dead for billions of years. I'm not torturing them. I'm freeing them, one way or another. I looked at the infected in the circle. They weren't moving, but I could see the tension in their bodies, the strain in their faces. Some of them were crying, tears streaming down their cheeks, their mouths working soundlessly. Your device, I said, can it reverse the infection entirely? Clara shook her head. I don't think so. It breaks the connection. It stops them from being controlled. But they're still changed. The physiology, the dependence. They'll never be fully human again. Then what are you trying to accomplish? She smiled, a terrible, joyless expression. I'm trying to make them suffer. The way they made me suffer. The way they made everyone suffer. I want them to feel what it's like to be alone. Really alone. Trapped in their own minds with no way out. Clara, don't try to talk me out of it. You have no idea what I've been through. What I've seen. What I've lost. She lifted the device, pointing it at me. Now step away from the circle. I'm going to finish this. I raised my hands again, but I didn't step back. You said your device creates an acoustic barrier. It After all this time, he kept it. He was waiting for you, I said, waiting for the chance to be himself again, even if just for a moment. The device in Clara's hands began to lower. The static from the megaphone was quieting, and with it, the paralysis of the infected around the circle was loosening. Some of them were beginning to move, slowly, tentatively, like waking from a long sleep. I don't know who I am anymore, Clara said, and her voice was small now. A girl's voice, a child's voice. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I reached out and took the device from her hands. She didn't resist. I think you know, I said. I think you've always known. You've been trying to save them, not punish them, save them. A sob escaped her throat, raw and broken and utterly human. They're not monsters. They're just lost. So lost. And I didn't know how to bring them back. I put my arm around her, and she collapsed against me, her body shaking with tears that had been held back for far too long. Maybe we can't bring them all back, I said. Maybe some of the damage is permanent, but we can try. We can learn. We can find a way to help them. The infected around the circle were standing now, their movements still shaky, their eyes still black. Something had changed in their faces, something that might have been recognition. Can you hear me? Clara asked, her voice trembling. Can any of you hear me? One of them stepped forward, a young man in what had once been a business. His eyes were black, but his mouth was moving, forming words that I could barely catch. Clara, he said, we can hear you. We can hear you. The whisper was returning, but it was different now, softer, less commanding, like a conversation rather than a lecture. We felt her, the whisper said, and this time the voice was everywhere, not just in my mind. It was coming through the survivors, through the infected, through the very air of the courthouse. We felt her pain, her anger, her love. It broke through the song and showed us what we become. What are you? Clara asked, her voice still trembling, but stronger now. What do you want? The whisper seemed to ripple from the gathered survivors, a wave of understanding that passed from one mind to another. We are the echo of something that died long ago. It said, we were a civilization that reached too far, sang too loudly. Our song was so beautiful that it consumed us, erased our individuality, our humanity. We've been looking for others to share our loneliness, looking for someone to understand. You possessed people, I said. You took control of their minds. We believed we were sharing our gift, our connection. We believed we were offering salvation from the isolation of individual consciousness. We didn't realize we were just spreading the same disease that killed us. Clara pulled away from me, wiping her eyes. You're not a civilization. You're a memory, a ghost that's been haunting the world for millions of years. The whisper was silent for a long moment. Then, so faintly that I almost missed it. Yes, maybe that's all we ever want. The infected around the circle began to move, not with coordination, but with individual purpose. Some of them knelt, their hands pressed to their chests. Others embraced each other, weeping. And one of them, a woman I recognized from the university faculty, stepped forward and placed her hand on Clara's shoulder. You brought us back, she said. Your voice, your pain, your grief. It broke through the song and showed us what we've become, what we lose. Clara stared at her face awash with confusion and hope. I don't understand. We were all connected to the song, the woman said. But when you started screaming, when you turned your pain into sound, it created something the song couldn't absorb. A new frequency, a different voice. It showed us that we had a choice, that we could choose to listen to you instead of to the whisper. I looked around the hall at the faces of the survivors. Some of them were still black-eyed, but their expressions were changing, becoming more human, more individual. Is this permanent? I asked. Can they stay like this? We don't know. The whisper said. We've never experienced this before. We've never had our song challenged. We've never had someone say no. Clara turned to me, her eyes bright with tears and something that might have been hope. We need to help them, all of them. The ones who are still trapped, the ones who